Throughout the years, protest has gone down in sports, like in the NBA bubble. Colin Kaepernick, along with Eric Reed, knelt to bring awareness to systemic racism and police brutality in the United States of America. They lost their careers over it. Major League Baseball's Carlos Delgado took an incredibly brave stand. At the 1968 Mexico City Olympic Games, American sprinters Tommy Smith and John Carlos protested. They were kicked out of the Olympics and shunned stateside for it. 3 years prior, the AFL All-Star Game was moved after black players refused to play because of horrendous, unjustifiable racism. The fact is, sports is not just an extension, rather a reflection of society and the times. The NBA's All-Star Game of 1964 was massive. In Josh Mendelson's book, this affair was the first to ever be televised. At the time, the NBA's commissioner was a man named J. Walter Kennedy, a major player in this story. Another, Boston Celtics great Tommy Heinsohn, who would go on to win 10 championships, 8 of those as a player. As great as he was on the court, his passion for labor off of it was profound. The Players Association called Heinsohn one of its founding fathers, saying it would not be here without his commitment and passion for players' rights, and for that we are forever grateful. Big shout out to Larry Fleischer as well, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame who helped form the NBPA. He too would play a big role in this story, as would future NBA Hall of Famer Bob Pettit. Although Heinsohn would later become president of the NBPA, he studied labor relations as a student at Holy Cross. He worked on pension plans and an insurance business during NBA off-seasons. His father had been a union official. I reiterate, profound passion for labor. Fast forward to the 1964 All-Star Game, which took place at Boston Garden, Heinsohn's home court. At this time, Heinsohn, a huge star locally and across the association, organized the players. Essentially, the players were threatening to walk out and not take the court if the league didn't call a meeting with the NBA's Board of Governors. The players demanded a pension plan, something that was not offered at the time. Let's pause here for a moment. Heinsohn and company tried this previously with former C's owner Walter Brown, and it went absolutely nowhere. Heinsohn would recall in an interview, there were no trainers at that time, no pension plans, and playing games on Saturday night and then traveling all night to try and play a game on television on Sunday were just some of the problems that we were trying to address. So they were left with one last play to call. So what did they do? Per Commissioner Kennedy, 30 minutes prior to tip-off, the players demanded a decision on a pension plan or they wouldn't take the court. For reference, at the time, the minimum NBA salary was only $7,500. Many NBA players took a second job in the offseason. Akin to Curt Flood's activism, the reserve clause was in play, meaning players were bound to their original teams. Few benefits, no pensions, and even though the NBPA was founded 10 years prior, owners refused to meet. Per the LA Times and Heinsohn, when attempting to bring in their reps to bargain and negotiate, the Celtic great would say, NBA owners kept us in the lobby and never brought us upstairs. Thus, when the players refused to take the court, Heinsohn was ready. Jacobin reported Heinsohn hired a police officer sympathetic to the players to guard the door from angry NBA owners forcing their way in. That's when Bob Short, owner of the Lakers, seen on the left, threatened Lakers star Elgin Baylor, telling him if he didn't go play, he was, quote, through. Baylor, of course, didn't give in. Essentially, the clock was ticking for the owners. Not only would it be an utter embarrassment for the game to not be played, but it could have derailed the league's financial future. Jerry West was also in that locker room. He would reflect to the LA Times. The players were controlled by the owners. All of us felt like we were slaves in the sense we had no rights. No one made anything then. You had to work in the summer. It was the stone ages of basketball. With the clock ticking and the players not blinking, the commissioner and the owners did. Minutes before the game, Heinsohn would say, Commissioner Kennedy gave his personal guarantee that adoption of a pension plan would occur at the next owners' meeting that coming May. And he was true to his word. The owners approved a plan in which they would contribute 50% toward the purchase of a $2,000 endowment policy That's how the NBA pension plan was started. Thus, the effects were felt and are felt to this day. The union would be recognized. The first ever pension plan for NBA players was created. Every team was required to hire an athletic trainer. Sunday afternoon games could no longer be scheduled directly after Saturday night matchups. The game would be delayed by 5 minutes. And the trickle-down effect was felt all across sports. Just 2 years later, Major League Baseball's union would be recognized. 2 years after that, the National Football League would follow suit.